money.
Mr. Tesha, Mozambique has been relatively peaceful for the past decade. How did it get to this turning point?
Let me preface my response to your question first by asserting that we at the Forum for Former African Heads of State and Government, Africa Forum, which is an organization of 38 former African heads of state and government, joined the African Union, SADC, and the international community in condemning the activities that are taking place in Mozambique that may undermine the stability and peace in that country. We feel very strongly that these activities may undermine the prospects for better economic development in the country and the efforts of government to address issues of poverty and infrastructure development. Having said that, let me say this in direct response to your question. The grievances of Alfonso Dhlakama trying to attract attention in the wake of the forthcoming elections. In our case, they don't really justify an all-out war. And we don't think, for that matter, that we're likely to see an outright war in Mozambique. I think the government is capable of addressing the issues. What we need is a dialogue between the two parties.
Now, we talk about dialogue, but Renamo has rejected peace talks. They're threatening to disrupt the election on the 20th of November, as well as exclude themselves from participating in those elections. What sort of impact do you think will this have on the country and on the upcoming elections?
Well, we also have heard statements by Alfonso Dhlakama that there is no option to dialogue. And this is why the president of Mozambique invited everybody to a dialogue. As I understand, to date, there have been 20 rounds of talks, and we believe there will be more. Now, if you look at the list of grievances, which include electoral reform, reintegration of the forces, equitable distribution of resources, these are matters that can be addressed, and they should not really result in countrywide confrontation. And I'm sure they can do that. So I don't think we're likely to see an all-out war. And perhaps we may see that the election will go on as planned.
Now, President Gubuza is adamant that the country won't slip into another civil war. But is there a possibility that we can reach a stability in the country?
The major concern is that the current events may affect the investment climate in the country and therefore act as an investment diversion. And that will have a serious impact on the efforts of the government to address the development in that country. But we don't really, on our part, we don't see an outright war. We think it can be resolved, and we as a forum and other members in the international community are prepared to ensure or to support the two parties to come to a table and resolve the issues that are on the list of grievances of the Renamo party.
Now, Zimbabwe has stepped up security on their borders, and SADC have been grappling with whether to intervene in the crisis or not. What else do you think needs to be done to have a roadmap for that solution? As you indicated, there is some grievances that can be addressed.
Well, my understanding is that some of the grievances are being addressed. For example, the electoral reform law. This has been addressed, and I'm sure it has gone through Parliament. The fact that it went on the side of Frelimo, it really doesn't, we do not have to blame Frelimo for that. It went through the Parliament. The issues of equity and addressing inequality within the country have been addressed within a framework of national development plan that is acceptable, acknowledged by United Nations, by the World Bank and other institutions. So I think this tendency towards attention seeking by Renamo will lead the country to a difficult situation, and that can be arrested.
Thank you so much. That was Tesha from the African Forum unpacking Mozambique's political crisis.